Hey everybody, it is Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm out here in the garage for another night of gun talk or garage gun talk. Got a couple things to talk about. I got a new item I want to share with you because I'm really excited because I didn't have to wait the usual 250 days. I got this thing back in 168 days with a tax stamp for it. Yeah, I got a Sig suppressor for my Sig MCX Spear LT. Yeah, this is a really cool rifle, and everything they make for this is really expensive. I still got to get the optic for it as well. I just got the iron sights. I really want to get that Sig, was it the Tango? Oh, I forgot the model number exactly, but I definitely want that one for this. But I was able to get the suppressor. In fact, my friend who's a FFL SOT, he knew I was in the market for one, and a while back he goes, hey, these are hard to find because they're rarely in stock anywhere. I'm able to get one. Do you want me to get it? I'm like, oh, they're expensive. He was able to get it for me, and of course then paid the tax stamp, or paid for the tax stamp, and then waited 168 days and got that, and then a week later I was able to pick this thing up. So want to get this out and see if it even mounts to this thing. But I can't show you it being mounted on camera because that's, I guess, in the past has been against the rules of YouTube, one of the problems with my old channel. But I'll turn around and do it off camera so you won't see it because apparently that's, in the past, has been bad. But I guess it's okay now because people still do it. The big channels do it. But it comes in a nice box. You get a muzzle device. I guess you get like a muzzle brake with it. But this thing already has the flash hider, which I prefer. And if we take it out of the wrapper, there it is. So I guess this is technically the Sig SL series. They've changed their quick detach system from the older ones. I have one of the Sig, oh my gosh, is it the SRD 556, which I really like. But this one is a different design suppressor. It's supposed to be for low back pressure. Couple things about this I'm not a huge fan of. I don't really like the finish. It kind of has this rough texture to it. See if I can get it in like the right light here. I don't know. And it also has this big old, I don't know, 556 emblazoned on the side. I don't think that's very attractive. You know, when it comes to engravings and markings, that can make a product look very professional and very well built, or kind of goofy. I like their Sig logo on this side, but I think the 556 is just a little bit too big and weird looking. The engraving for the maker, Sig Sauer, was it Newington, New Hampshire, the SLX, and has the serial number. That looks good, but this is kind of weird. So it screws on, and then it has a little latch to lock it on. So I'm going to turn this way, and we're going to see if it actually fits on this, because I have not tried it out yet. So hold on, we're going to turn this around, because you can't see this. It's secret, because you guys can't figure out how to screw on a suppressor onto a gun. All right, so let's see here. Oh, I guess I have to take it off the locked position first. There we go. Let's try this again. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, lock it on. Ta-da! There it goes. It actually doesn't look that big when you hold the suppressor itself, but when it's attached to the gun, it is kind of longer than most of my other 556 suppressors. My friend who's at FFL and SOT, he actually bought one for himself. I believe that one was like a police trade-in, because, you know, he doesn't have to worry about paying the taxes, and he can get them pretty fast. So he bought one to try one out on his Sig Spear, and he told me it definitely is a low resistance can. However, it doesn't suppress very well. He says it's kind of loud, like it might not even be hearing safe. So I guess that's just the downside to it being, I guess the pressures can be adjusted in it down where you don't have as much resistance and you don't have all that back pressure, but you lose something when it comes to the report. It's not a very quiet can, but the thing is supposed to be designed for military and police use, and yeah, I think it looks good on this. It attaches like it's supposed to, so all I got to do now is get that optic for this, and I'll have pretty pretty much the complete Sig Spear LT 556 package. So I'm happy with that. So I wanted to show that off. I'll probably do an official unboxing video on the Texas Gun Vault about it and probably compare it to the older Sig system. I think that would actually be a pretty good video. But that's why I want to talk about that. So now I want to move on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was something that people have been asking me in the comment sections of previous videos, and people have been messaging me over on Instagram and Facebook and emailing me about, is what is my take on what the ATF, I don't know if it was really the ATF, but I guess we'll just say the U.S. government did when it comes to the banning of export of firearms and accessories to other countries, and this 90-day thing. And I've looked into it a little bit, and of course, anytime we see these restrictions, everyone goes into panic mode and freaks out. I saw that Mr. Guns and Gear did one. I'm not saying he's panicking and freaking out, but he made a video on it, and everybody that talks about it always says it's the greatest infringement of all time. They're coming for it. They're trying to bankrupt the gun industry. And initially, for me, emotionally, that's what it feels like at first. And of course, this doesn't really affect most of us because I'm not an FFL. I don't deal in firearms. I'm just a collector. I don't export. And most people that have gun shops or FFL SOTs, they don't really export. So it doesn't really affect that many people. But of course, people, because we're all in this together, everyone gets all emotional. Well, I looked into this, and there's a ton of exemptions in this. And most of the exemptions, I think, are to countries that are the people that we would be wanting to be selling arms and accessories to. You know, countries you don't really have to worry about. But it seems like it's banning stuff to countries that we should be worried about. And I think that Sigmund Freud said it best, okay, when it came to, you know, analyzing dreams and what things mean. He famously said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. And so sometimes we look way too deep into things and trying to find meanings. And I think in the gun world and in the gun community, we do this way too often. But I understand why we do it, because we always see the nefarious people doing these nefarious things, trying to deprive us of our rights, trying to make it harder on the gun industry to survive. And so we become very skeptical of anything that they do. However, you know, sometimes a blind squirrel finds a nut from time to time. And I really thought about this because there's so many exemptions to this where, you know, they can export to Israel, they can export to Ukraine. Of course, those are countries that we are allied with and they are in conflict. But also it exempts, I think, most countries in Europe and all this. I mean, the people that it wouldn't be a problem us selling scopes and guns to, because pretty much they're NATO allies. But I think that, as I said, people are very skeptical, thinking this is them going after. Number one, it's only for 90 days. Now, of course, they can't extend it, but also look at the political landscape of the world right now. Because you have to admit, it's pretty dangerous out there. I mean, we are on the precipice of possibly a world conflict. I mean, and I think a lot of that has to do because of the Biden administration, their terrible foreign policy, the decisions that they make, and they're going to get us into a conflict of some kind. I mean, we're hearing all this stuff about Iran, and we're hearing all this stuff about China and Russia. And it just doesn't look good for the future. I mean, we're pretty close to a global conflict. Is it going to be a World War III? Maybe not. But we're talking about escalating to some pretty serious actions around the world. And I think the government essentially is trying to be a little bit protectionist in that they, number one, don't want our firearms, which arguably I think America makes some of the best firearms in the world, best firearms accessories in the world. They don't want those ending up in the hands of Iran or the Taliban or China to be reverse engineered. They don't want these countries getting a hold of our products. And I'm not saying that people that are exporting are shipping it to them directly, but they're shipping it to people that could easily sell or funnel those items to the bad actors that are against the United States. And they might be looking at this and going, well, we might have to ramp up domestic production of weapons and gear and optics and all these things for our own use. So I really don't see this being this grand conspiracy against gun manufacturers or exporters or any of that, because, as I said, if they're in the business of selling arms and exporting arms, most of the countries they can still export to and get licenses to are our allies, probably the biggest markets around the world. And depending on how you feel about Ukraine or Israel, you can still send things there. So I just don't see this as being like this big grand conspiracy. But I understand people's apprehension about it all, because every time the ATF does something, or every time a government agency does something regarding firearms, it's usually trying to do some type of backdoor, nefarious thing to, dig at gun owners. I totally get it. But sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. And I really think this is kind of a protectionist policy temporarily, because if we do get into a conflict, they're probably going to need to procure weapons and optics and all these different accessories, and they don't want us or American companies essentially tooling up the enemies. So that's honestly what I think it is. I've looked into it. I know that a lot of people that have a big stake in export are pretty upset, and I can understand why. And I said this is just temporary. I just don't see this as being something where they're trying to bankrupt the gun industry. I mean, when it comes to most gun companies, the U.S. market is the biggest market. And if they're manufacturing guns here, they're selling it to us. I mean, it's not like these companies are making all this money on export. But when they do export, they can still export to Germany. They can still export to Israel. They can still export to the UK. They can still export to Ukraine. They can still export to all these big people that probably they're already selling to. So I honestly think, my gut tells me, this is a nothing burger. I know that other YouTubers are saying it's the end of the world. It's another way of them trying to... I really don't see that, because this isn't really the ATF. It's what that other organization which oversees, international arms transfers. It used to be ITAR. It's called something else now. I just think that sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. But everyone is all worried because every time they do something that's apparently anti-gun, they think it's because they're trying to deprive you of your rights. And I just don't see it here. I just don't see it. But that's my take on it. People had been asking me. The last thing I want to say, and I almost made one of those Texas Gun Vault comments of the day or week or whatever about it. But people say I let the commenters get to me too much. So I said, I'm not going to do that this time. But I had a really funny comment, one that doesn't bother me. But I wanted to make an example of it, because I always tell people it's important not to have heroes, or especially GunTube heroes. Don't have GunTube heroes, because everybody out here in the YouTuberverse and the Rumbleverse, they're just normal people trying to make a living, trying to do, whatever they can for the Second Amendment, whatever it is, whatever their motivations are. They're just human beings. They're nobody special. Even if they can shoot really fast or shoot really good, or if they are former special operators in the United States military, they're still just human beings. They're not superheroes. They're just like you. They're just like me. They're driven by the same things as all of us are. They have all the same faults. And you're only going to be disappointed if you meet them, or when you find out they've done something you don't like. And this is going back to Larry Vickers again, because I had a commenter that said they're done watching my channel forever. They're never going to come back again, because I said these horrible things about Larry Vickers. How dare I say that he was possibly involved in espionage? Well, in that video, I didn't say he was involved in espionage. I said that's what the government is accusing, because of the transfer of the technical data packages from country to country, which is illegal. And he said, how dare I say anything bad about him because I don't know him. He pled guilty. I don't know what you want me to say. It's not like he fought the charges. He could have pleaded a no contest. He pled guilty. So what I said was kind of true, whether or not you agree with the laws or not. But I guess I lost a subscriber because I said something about Larry Vickers. And it just makes me sad because I feel like people need to get all sides of an argument, and people need to be based in reality, of maybe what he did was wrong. Maybe he did. I was talking with some people recently, and they're like, yeah, what he did was wrong. We've all seen the text messages. We've heard about the falsified documents. We know that Russia is under sanctions. He still tried to import weapons from there. Whether or not you think those sanctions are constitutional or legitimate, or it doesn't matter. Those are the laws on the books. He knew what they were. He falsified documents. And if any of you did that, you'd be going to jail too. They'd be coming after you. I know it's easy in this world for so many people just to be mad about, like the Matt Hoover thing. I always go back to CRS Firearms, because I still get a ton of comments on my main channel on the video where I talk about how I honestly think he was guilty. And people get mad and they say he was just selling a piece of artwork. And my response to them often is, if you believe shall not be infringed and you truly believe he's completely innocent, then I want you to go take up his mantle. I want you to go make those, what were they called again? Auto key and sell. I want you to just do it, because you're right. It's unconstitutional. But you don't, because in your heart you know it's wrong. You're happy to watch other people's lives get destroyed and then stand up and be all strong and shall not be infringed. The ATF can't create law. How dare you say Larry Vickers is a bad guy? It's easy to do that when you have no stake in the game, right? You have no stake in the game. If Larry Vickers goes to jail, it doesn't affect your life, doesn't affect your job, doesn't affect your kids or your family or your retirement or your house or any of that. If CRS Firearms does it, you're fine. You're fine watching other people push these boundaries and do stupid things and break the law. And then, feign, I am so upset about this, But if you truly believe it, then go do it yourself. If this gentleman on my channel that said he's never going to watch again, which totally fine, I'm not for everybody. If he honestly believes it, then he needs to go get his FFL SOT and do the same thing, because we got it all wrong. But he's not going to, right? He's not going to do that. It's easy to watch other people take the fall. It's kind of like that puppet meme. I think you guys know the one that I'm talking about, where it's like a puppet. He's like looking like this way, and then he looks ahead, and it's it can be related to a bunch of things. That's the way a lot of people are when it comes to all this mess. It's easy to be upset. It's easy to say shall not be infringed. It's easy to talk big behind a keyboard when you have no stake in the game. You have no horse in that race. It's really easy. But anyway, the comment really didn't bother me, and I could care less. I'm surprised people even watch my content anyway. I'm surprised it took him that long to realize not to watch me. So I kind of question his judgment. I question a lot of your judgments for watching my content. But yeah, that's the things I wanted to talk about. So that's what I got going on. So I hope I answered the question about the whole export thing. And let me know what you guys think about this new Sig suppressor. I'm really excited about it. I think it looks good. Just have a couple issues with the finish and the big old 5.56 on top. I don't know if I need that, but it is what it is. I like their new locking system. It does seem to be on there pretty darn tight, and I think it's a nice addition to this gun. I kind of wish they would have offered it in the tan, or like the flat dark earth or coyote tan, or whatever they call it, to match this. I could always get it Cerakoted, but I don't think I'm going to do that. But yeah, it looks good as is. Pretty happy with it. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And are my takes on these things what you expected? Do you agree or disagree? And as always, let's have a great conversation. in the comment section below. Remember, guys, you don't have to agree with me. We're not here. I'm not trying to preach to the choir. I just want to have a conversation, get different perspectives, and we can learn from each other. There's been many times where I have made statements or had ideas, and then somebody would say in the comment section, hey, did you think about this? And I'm like, no, actually, that's kind of brilliant. I like that. And then I'll bring it up in another video. You know, all I ask is you just don't call me a name. That's all I ask, you know, but feel free to disagree with me. So anyway, hope you guys are having a wonderful day, a wonderful week. I hope you are safe and happy and your family is wonderful. And you guys are looking forward to, I guess tomorrow is Halloween and then we have Thanksgiving. I'm really excited about Thanksgiving because my family's coming to town. I haven't seen them in a while. Just because of they live across the country in North Carolina, and they just haven't had a chance to visit because they were there for my sister. Because my sister recently had a kidney and pancreas transplant, and she had been on the list for a while. So they just needed to be there with her and to support her. And so it's just the way it goes, me having my life here in Texas. But I'm really excited about Thanksgiving because I get to see them. And then, of course, Christmas. So I hope you guys are starting off your holiday season great. Wonderful things are to come. And yeah. Oh, speaking of wonderful things, the Texas Gun Vault, the main channel, just surpassed 10,000 subscribers. Man, it took me 9 months to get there, where in the past it took me 9 years to get there on my old channel. So we're growing fast. And so thank you all for being part of this journey. So I guess that's everything I wanted to talk about tonight. So as I said, have a wonderful day, wonderful evening, wherever you are in the world. And I hope you're looking forward to a wonderful holiday season. So, as always, thanks for watching.